YouTube, this is a video on Troy Bilt 3000 max PSI, 2.7 max GPM, and all that stuff, Briggs & Stratton. So I've had this for 2 years and not very happy with it. I guess it's my fault. When I put it away and it still had gas in it, like a half a tank. I should have drained all the gas out. So I can't get it to start. I've watched 3 YouTube videos, gotten ideas, but still hasn't been able to start. Where I'm at right now, this is a carburetor right here, and I got this pinching off the gas line right now. I have emptied the gas line, the gas tank twice, because I filled it up again and I thought it was going to be good enough. Well, it wasn't, so I had to empty it again. Now it's got fresh gas in it. Before I put it in, I air hosed it out. First I stuck just a rag. What did I do with it? Here it is. Just a regular rag like that. I used some needle nose pliers. Again, I saw this on another video. I just kind of like stuck it down inside there, moved it around to get most of the liquid out, and then I took a pressurized air and blew the rest of it out. There was some debris in there. Put it all back together, didn't work. So then this goes on the bottom of the carburetor right here. As you can see, the float and everything is gone right now. Bear with me a second. I'm going to tilt this thing upside down so you can see. So that's where the float goes. And right now it's right here. Well, that's the bottom of it. And inside here, this is the float. And actually, hold on one second. Bear with me a second. I had gas all over my hands before. It took like an hour to get the stink off, so just bear with me a second. I'll put my gloves back on, or at least one glove. Sorry. So, incidentally, I bought these at Lowe's. They're pretty good. They're made for mechanic stuff because they're really thick or whatnot. Anyway, so here's the float. And that went right on here. And so I cleaned that up. It was a little bit gummed up, but not horrible. And there was this guy right here. So this guy has a hole in the side, hole in the top, and a hole in the other side. It was totally caked. Also had a gasket. Now that I think of it, I don't know what I did with it, so I'm gonna have to find that. But it had a gasket that goes on there. But all this was crudded up. Couldn't get anything through. So I took like just a piece of wire from a wire brush, cut it off with cutters. And stuck it through there, and then just squirted carburetor cleaner down through here until it went out both sides at the same time. And I took a wire brush and tried to get that as clean as I possibly could. I'm able to get stuff through it now. Put it all back together. Didn't work again. Talk about getting irritated. So then there's this thing right here. This goes on the bottom of the float. It's just a needle. The needle part's rubber. This whole thing was caked. Disgusting. And it was stuck in there. Like it was almost, I couldn't, like you see that pin in there? That pin is the only thing that holds. It goes into that little hole there, and then basically holds the whole thing on there. You see that spot right there? It goes right across there. Anyway, took the pin out. The whole thing should just fall out, and it wouldn't. I had to actually pull the float because this was so gummed up, and you can see there's still just a tiny bit of crud on that top corner there, and this wouldn't spring in and out either. This pushes in, as you can see. So I cleaned it up. This is way better. I mean, the color was like black. It was like a thick molasses in it. Like I said, it was really hard to get out. So right now I get that just sitting in some carburetor cleaner, trying to help loosen up anything else so I can clean it a little bit more. So then I took Q-tips, as you can see, put some carburetor cleaner on them. I'm going to use one that's kind of clean now. And this is where the that pin goes, that needle. So I could barely get a Q-tip in there before, but now it goes in really good, and I sprayed cleaner and so on and so forth. I don't know if this is going to be good enough, to be honest, so I'm probably going to take the whole carburetor off, which is just another bolt here and another one on the other side. You have to unhook these springs and obviously take some photos so you can remember exactly how they go back on. I'm probably going to do that because I'm sick of taking this on and off, and I think with the way that needle looked so gummed up and everything else, this probably needs to be cleaned. So what I'll do is use an air chuck and pressurized air through there, squirt some more stuff, and as long as stuff is flowing, basically what the problem is, when I took it all apart this last time, obviously that wasn't pinched off, that hose right there. And in this, when it's sitting in the bottom here, this should be full of fluid, full of gas. There was no gas in there. So that told me there was a problem, further than, worse than what I had thought. So your gas line is right here, just connects to this brass fitting here, and then as it calls for it with that float, it comes out where that pin is and fills the reservoir, and then the float floats and stops more, and just keeps doing that as it's needed. That I think is the final solution. So what I'm going to do is take this off and clean it out the rest of the way. In another video that I saw, they took off these 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3. So I did it because after I did the whole thing, it wouldn't work. This whole piece, I don't know if it's the same as yours, but this whole thing comes off. Inside here is a flywheel. On the sides of that flywheel, it was totally rusty all the way around. I could only access it from like a little corner right here. And I just kept turning it and used sandpaper, sanding it off till it was like almost glass again, because there's a contactor that almost touches. As this thing goes around, it just keeps going around faster, faster, faster because of the magnet that's there. Well, there was so much rust, I do believe that was part of the problem, that it's not making a good enough contact to keep it spinning. So I did do that as well. You might have to do that. Now this only sat in my garage. Okay, it's a decent garage, up off the ground. I bought it 2016. I used it that year to wash my house. Got the house pretty good. Put it away. Left fuel in it like an idiot. I can't remember if I used an additive or not. Even if I did, it didn't matter. And yeah, so here we are. I'm almost 100% sure that once I take that carburetor off and finish the job that I should have done from the start, everything's going to be fine. So document everything, take pictures as you're doing things. Again, you'll need some just small engine carburetor cleaner, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can do it. Trying to think if there's anything else. You'll definitely want to clean out all the fuel, because the fuel is what caused the problem. So you need to get that out of there. Don't clean the carb and everything else and not change the tank fuel. What I'll do in the comments in the bottom is when I'm all done. Like I said, I put this together 3 times already, and it didn't work all of those times. This is my final attempt, and once I get this carburetor off, which is only 2 bolts and a couple little springs, I'm going to clean it all up, put it back on, fire it up. If it worked, I'm going to put that in the comments that it did work, and then you know what I did. So clean the whole carburetor. Again, it's pretty easy. You'll see that little pin that I showed you. Clean that up really, really good. Again, that looked like it was totally black, and it wouldn't even barely pull out of the little hole I showed you. Get some Q-tips. Good idea for vice grips to pinch this, which you probably won't have to anyway, because once you drain the tank, don't fill it back up until you do all this stuff. Make sure you sand the outside of the flywheel. You'll see what I'm talking about when you take that off. It'll be all rusty on the whole, around the whole side of it. Sandpaper that off, put it all back together, you know, pray, and it'll work. Again, Troy Bilt 875EX, 2 years old. I've been out here now, I'm gonna say 3 hours, maybe longer, because I kept putting it back together and trying it, and having no success, going back, watching videos, and just troubleshooting using my head. And you know, don't be lazy, take it all apart the first time, and you'll save hours. I should have done that from the beginning. I knew it had something to do with the carburetor, but I tried to you know, once I got that one plug off from watching a video, I thought, oh gee, that's it. And the plug again I'm talking about is this one. This is basically just a plug that goes on the bottom of that of this. It just goes in the bottom of this to hold it in, hold it up. I didn't know that this actually, until I saw that video, had those holes. So this is the first jet. The second one is where the Q-tips go, where that little needle that I showed you goes. So don't just clean this, clean the whole carburetor. Otherwise, I fear you'll end up with the same problem I did, and it'll take you that much longer. So rate, comment, subscribe. It does help. The more subscribers I have, you'll see through my other videos that plenty of people do subscribe and leave comments. I always pay attention to my YouTube channel, and I respond to them as soon as I can, which is usually pretty quickly. Yeah, and you know, feel free to check out any of my other YouTube videos if they help you as well. Anyway, that's it. I will put in the comments at the bottom whether this worked. All right, YouTube, have a good one.